Dr. Elena Parker adjusted her gloves, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. The air around the laboratory was thick with anticipation. They had been working tirelessly on Project Kaleidoscope, aiming to prove the existence of parallel universes. Today, the portal shimmered to life before them, a glowing gateway to the unknown. "Do you really think it's safe?" murmured Dr. Mark Collins, his voice tinged with both excitement and fear. Elena shot him a determined look. "Safe or not, we have to explore. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." Dr. Amanda Hayes, their biologist, nodded. "We can't let fear hold us back now. We've come too far." With a collective breath, the team stepped through the portal, the sensation like 1,000 tiny needles pricking their skin. When they emerged on the other side, they found themselves in a world both familiar and alien. The sky was a deep teal and the vegetation was a chaotic blend of colors and shapes they had never seen. "Wow, this place is trippy," said Dr. Tom Reynolds, the group's tech expert, a grin spreading across his face. Dr. Sarah Liu, the geologist, crouched to examine the soil. "This isn't just Earth-like. This is Earth. Or at least a version of it." As they ventured deeper, the landscape became increasingly unsettling. Buildings that mirrored those on their Earth were twisted and decayed, giving the environment a post-apocalyptic feel. "I don't like this," Mark muttered, scanning the surroundings. "Where is everyone?" Their question was soon answered when they encountered the inhabitants' alternate versions of themselves. These counterparts bore the scars of a world ravaged by disaster, their eyes hollow with desperation. "Who are you?" demanded alternate Elena, her voice a rough echo of Dr. Parker's. Dr. Parker stepped forward, her heart pounding. "We're from another universe, a parallel Earth. We've come to learn and maybe help." Alternate Mark laughed bitterly. "Help? Your world isn't dying. Ours is. We need more than help, we need salvation." It soon became clear that the alternate team had been watching them, aware of the portal's potential. Alternate Amanda explained their dire situation, a world on the brink of ecological collapse, societal breakdown, and unending despair. "We can't just let them perish," Sarah whispered to Elena as they huddled to discuss their next move. "But we can't just bring them all to our world," Amanda argued. "Our planet can't handle such an influx." The ethical dilemma weighed heavily on them. Days passed, filled with tense discussions and growing mistrust. The alternate team's desperation was palpable, and it began to erode the fragile trust between the groups. "We have to find a way to coexist," Elena insisted during one heated debate. Alternate Tom sneered. "There's no coexistence. We take or we die." The situation escalated when the alternate team revealed a plan to invade their Earth, using the portal to bring through their military and seize control. The original team was horrified. "You can't do this," Mark shouted, his face red with anger. "You'll destroy everything." "We don't have a choice," alternate Elena replied coldly. "We're out of time." A fierce battle erupted, the once silent streets now echoing with the sounds of conflict. Phaser beams sliced through the air, and explosions sent debris flying. Elena found herself face to face with her alternate self, the mirror image a haunting reflection of what she could become. "This isn't who we are," Elena pleaded, her voice breaking. "We can find another way." Alternate Elena's eyes flashed with a mix of pain and resolve. "There is no other way." With a heavy heart, Elena made the hardest decision of her life, severing the portal connection. The lab back on their Earth exploded into chaos, the team barely escaping with their lives. The alternate world was left to its grim fate, a haunting reminder of what could be. As they returned to their world, the portal sealed behind them. The team was a mix of sorrow and relief. The cost of their salvation had been immeasurable, leaving scars that would never fully heal. "We did what we had to," Amanda said quietly, her face pale with grief. "But it doesn't make it any easier." Mark placed a hand on her shoulder. "We saved our world. That's what matters." Months passed, the team's story a secret shared only among themselves. The weight of their actions haunted them, but also pushed them to drive change. They became advocates for sustainability, pushing humanity to learn from the alternate world's mistakes. Elena often found herself staring at the night sky, wondering what had become of their counterparts. She hoped, somehow, they had found peace. "We have a chance to make things right," she would say at public talks. "We saw our future, and it was grim, but we have the power to change it." The weeks following their return were a blur of debriefings, scientific reports, and restless nights. Dr. Elena Parker found herself haunted by the memory of alternate Elena's pained expression, the echo of her own despair. "I can't shake it, Mark," she confided in Collins during one of their late-night lab sessions. "Seeing myself like that, knowing we left them behind." Mark sighed, leaning against the table. "We didn't have a choice. If they had invaded, our world would be in chaos right now." "Does that make us any better than them?" Elena asked, her voice barely a whisper. Mark didn't have an answer. The ethical complexities of their actions weighed heavily on each of them, creating a chasm of guilt and doubt that seemed insurmountable. During a particularly tense team meeting, Amanda's frustration boiled over. "We need to stop wallowing in guilt and start making sure we don't end up like them. We have to make sure our world doesn't follow the same path." Her outburst spurred the team into action. They began to focus their efforts on raising awareness about the dangers of environmental neglect and the importance of sustainable practices. Public speaking engagements, articles, and research papers became their new mission. One evening, while preparing for a presentation, Elena found a note slipped under her office door. It was from Sarah Lou. "Meet me in the old lab at midnight. Need to talk." Elena's curiosity was piqued, and she made her way to the lab. The hall's eerily quiet. When she arrived, Sarah was already there, looking anxious. "What's this about, Sarah?" Elena asked. Sarah took a deep breath. "I've been analyzing the data we collected from the alternate world, and I found something troubling. Their ecological collapse was triggered by a series of events that could easily happen here if we're not careful. We need to act fast." Elena's heart sank. "Do you think our efforts will be enough?" Sarah's expression was grave. "I don't know, but we have to try. We owe it to them, to ourselves." Their conversation reignited a sense of urgency within the team. They worked tirelessly, collaborating with environmental organizations and government agencies to implement changes that could prevent a similar fate from befalling their world. However, their actions did not go unchallenged. Powerful corporations and political entities with vested interests in the status quo began to push back, undermining their efforts and questioning their motives. During a particularly heated debate on a news program, Elena faced off against a corporate representative. "Your fear-mongering is baseless," the representative sneered. "There's no evidence that our actions will lead to the kind of catastrophic events you describe." Elena's eyes burned with intensity. "We have the evidence, but more importantly, we have the moral responsibility to act. Ignoring the signs is a death sentence for future generations." Her passionate defense garnered both support and backlash. But it also highlighted the growing divide in society. The team realized that their fight was not just against environmental degradation, but also against the apathy and greed that perpetuated it. One night, as they were leaving a conference, Amanda pulled Elena aside. "You know, despite everything, I'm glad we went through that portal. It changed us, made us stronger." Elena smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. "I just hope it's enough." Back at the lab, Tom Reynolds was working on a new project, an advanced AI system designed to monitor ecological data and predict potential threats. He had become more reclusive, dedicating himself to finding technological solutions to their problems. One evening, Mark found him hunched over his computer, eyes bloodshot. "You okay, Tom?" Tom looked up, a hint of a smile on his lips. "Just working on something that might help us avoid another crisis." Mark nodded. "We all have our ways of coping, I guess." Tom's AI system soon became a cornerstone of their efforts, providing valuable insights and data that helped drive policy changes and conservation efforts. It was a small victory in a much larger battle, but it gave them hope. Despite their progress, the haunting memories of their counterparts never fully faded. Elena often found herself staring at the night sky, wondering about the fate of alternate Elena and her team. She hoped that, in some way, their actions had brought a measure of peace to that dying world. As the years went by, the team's tireless work began to bear fruit. Policies shifted, public awareness grew, and the world slowly started to change. They knew it was just the beginning, but it was a beginning nonetheless. On the anniversary of their return from the parallel universe, the team gathered at the lab, now a symbol of both their greatest discovery and their greatest loss. They raised a toast to their fallen counterparts, vowing to honor their memory by continuing to fight for a better future. Elena's voice was steady as she spoke. "We faced our darkest reflections and emerged stronger. Let's make sure we never forget the lessons we learned, for them and for us." The journey had left them scarred but also stronger. They had faced their greatest fears, battled their darkest reflections, and emerged with a deeper understanding of the fragile thread that binds all life. The mirror shadows they encountered taught them the value of compassion, the importance of choices, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. In the end, they realized that while they couldn't save the parallel world, they could honor its memory by striving to create a better future for their own. It was a mission born of love, guilt, and an unwavering commitment to the survival of their species, a mission that would define them for the rest of their lives.